All right, hello everyone. I think we're online now. Let's go ahead and see here, just real quick. Just bring up my stream manager and make sure we're up and running. Let's see. Yep, looks like we're up and running. We're live. Okay, and welcome once again to my channel. I'm Doc, also known as Sue's Doc, a few other things. Normally I do the RPG College, which is why that banner is currently showing right now. Let's go ahead and switch that over. Um, what we're going to do today is a little different. It's a new show. I haven't got a banner for it yet. I'm just trying it out, see if people like it. It's Foodie Nerd because, well, as many of my friends know anyway, I used to be a chef. Worked in a 3-star restaurant. I've cooked food from around the world. I love food of all different types. I'm very much an Epicurean. I really enjoy tasting different cultures in their food. And so what we're going to do today to start out is we're going to introduce you to 10 restaurants here in the Springfield area that I recommend you go to. These are what I would say of the ones I've tried so far, my top 10 restaurants here in Springfield, Missouri. And I wouldn't. I would say they are in a little bit of an order. They're not exactly in the top 10 exact order because I haven't taken the time to really shuffle them around. We're going to pop into, if they have a website, I'll show you their website. You'll see it up right here, up in the upper right-hand corner on this page. And of course, when I switch, it'll be right here in the main area, and I'll be over there. So, and that's a perfect introduction to the first, and probably is my number one pick here in Springfield. It's Zeka's Indian Cuisine. Now, this is their Facebook page. Zeka's Indian Cuisine is by far my favorite restaurant in the Springfield, Missouri area. They, for one thing, they have lamb, which is one of those meats that you can't find just anywhere, and it's absolutely delicious. And they do a lamb curry that's amazing. The price point's a little bit higher than some restaurants, but not for general higher end dining. I mean, if you're used to going to fast food places, you're not going to spend this much typically. But if you do, most sit down restaurants, you're not going to be too far off from this, with the entrees running about $12, $14. So they're not too bad. I will honestly say that their chicken tikka masala is the best chicken tikka masala that I have ever had, and I think my girlfriend agrees. It's her favorite dish to get there. She also likes the butter chicken, which she finds quite similar. Uh, Now, if you are on a little bit of a budget, but you're available during the daytime. Now, I don't know if it's open back up for this yet during post COVID-19, but there are, at least there is a buffet at lunch from 11 to 2 o'clock that they run. Now, they don't put the lamb typically on the buffet, but they do have several dishes on the buffet, including the tikka masala or the butter chicken. Usually one of the two is on there. They'll have tandoori chicken, which is probably my favorite chicken on the bone recipe on the planet. And, well, that and a dish from Korea called dakdoritong, which I'll talk about another time. But this excellent chicken on the bone spiced chicken that they've got the um, raita, they've got naan bread, and then they've got a chai tea right there on the buffet with different kinds of sweetener next to it, so you can sweeten it up to your taste, and so you can have all the chai tea and all the buffet you want. And it, if I remember the price point on that, it's like $11. It's been a little bit of time since I've gone to the buffet, since of course with COVID and everything, we haven't been over there. But Zeka's is definitely some place that you're going to want to check out if you like good Indian food. Indian food is also great for you vegetarians and vegans out there, because the Indian culture is, of course, highly influenced by a big subculture of veganism, and of course they worship um, bovines, cows, in a lot of their culture, and so they don't want to eat cows, being the uh, proverbial sacred cow. They don't want to actually use them as food animals. So they don't eat a lot of beef, first of all, and then they eat a lot of vegetables and tofu, which would satisfy more vegan-minded individuals. Now, as a vegan, I wouldn't recommend the uh, buffet because of cross contamination, of course. Same reason I would not recommend it right now when we're still worried about COVID. But if for individual servings, you can definitely check them out for vegan offerings or just straight vegetarian offerings. It's a nice middle ground between vegan and full carnivore. Um, Me, I'm an omnivore. I eat just about anything. Don't eat me first. But I do like good food, and Indian is probably one of my absolute favorites. So if you like Indian food, this is probably my number one pick today. And we'll just say you got to check out Zekas if you can. Um, we are looking on their Facebook page because they don't have a website right now. A lot of places don't, but they are over at 311 South Jefferson Avenue in Springfield, Missouri. If you check their page, you can see they've got various things, some pictures of some of their food. Um, when they're open, uh, when they had carryout orders, I think you can find their menu on here too if you look hard enough. So this gives you a little bit to go by when you're going over to Zaka's. Absolutely excellent food. You go in there and the smell is so fragrant with cumin and coriander, and you can get a little hint of kaffir lime leaf in the air when you just walk into the restaurant. It just smells like good eating. It smells like chai tea and food, and you sit down to the warm, comforting atmosphere. They've got the basmati rice with a little bit of peas mixed in. They've got the wonderful naan bread, like I said, nice and soft, with the yogurt raita. They got some um, what are they called? Little compotes that you can put on with little minces or pickles of like there's a mint garnish which I can't have because I'm allergic, but there's also a more fruity kind of bell pepper tomatoey garnish that you can put on and stuff. There's a cucumber chicken salad usually on the buffet, things of those natures. You can order appetizers like there's the wafer thin soft crackers with a few pastes that you can put on to eat them. Absolutely delicious. And of course, don't forget to get your mango drink. The mango drinks in Indian restaurants are probably one of their signature things. And it's kind of like a mango smoothie, and it's so good. If you're in the mood for something that's partway between a drink and a dessert. And of course, they do serve some alcohols too. So they have a connected bar. They play light, not overpowering Indian music, a lot of sitar. So it's a comfortable atmosphere. And I've not been in there since they lifted the general prohibition to dining rooms. So I'm not sure how they rearranged their dining room. They may still only be doing carry out. So you might want to call ahead to check if you are looking for a carry-out place. But it's definitely a place to check out if you like fine Indian dining. Now, probably the next one we're going to skip over. We're going to keep it in the kind of Asian feel here. It's authentic, fresh. It's in Springfield, Missouri. And the name of this place is actually Everyday Thai. And it shows right here. You just can't really see it real well against their background with this kind of dark charcoal slate background color right here. But it says Everyday Thai, and they just moved across the street from their old location. They're now in where the building that used to be Nukes on Battlefield. Now Everyday Thai is another place where if you like good spices and mixed flavors of the eastern part of the world, you're going to be in love. There's lots of lemongrass, lots of coconut milk. Um, their rice is a tender basmati type rice. I believe it's basmati. They've got a nice tender fluffy rice. They use great shellfish, great meat products, and it's absolutely excellent. Now, we usually get their spring rolls when we go in there. The uncooked spring rolls, the ones that are in the clear, kind of almost cellophane looking wrappers. They got a little big pieces of cooked jumbo chilled shrimp in them, and lots of cilantro leaf and stuff. And then you dip them in a peanut sauce, and they're absolutely amazing as an appetizer. And I go for the green curry. Green curry is my go-to dish, and it's cooked with coconut milk and green curry paste. And it's I like to get the pork. They don't have lamb, of course, in their restaurant, but I'll get the pork curry. My girlfriend typically goes for something in the chicken. She likes pad thai noodles. She likes some of the lighter curries. The only thing I would caution you about if you do go to Everyday Thai is go about a little bit lighter on the spice than what you would probably think you can handle, because there's people in the back don't always know how to gauge the spice well. So if you say medium, they probably go to medium hot, and if you say hot, they go to inferno. And if you say mild, you're still probably getting about medium. And that's most of the time I've gone in there. But that's my one criticism of the place, is that their heat levels usually turned up a couple notches above what we'd expect. But then again, I've got Caucasian taste buds. Even though I love personally spicy food, I still judge it by the food that I get here in America, and they might be judging closer to the authentic cuisine that is a little bit on the spicier side. I have not had a chance to go over to Thailand to try their authentic cuisine there in the actual restaurant, so I couldn't tell you if their spice levels are more accurate to them or not, but I believe they probably are. But like I said, just as a cautionary tale, I'd tell you to go about one spice level back from what you would normally order, and they will still let you order by your spice levels. So that's great. Now let's scoot on over out of the east and go to the Mediterranean real quick. We're going to go to Eris Pizzeria. Now they're over on. Oh wait. Oh, I already told you where Everyday Thai was, but Eris Pizzeria is over there on Republic, and as it says here, since 1961 they've been doing Greek style pizza, which is kind of a thinner crust hand tossed pizza, similar to New York hand tossed, but a little bit thinner stretched. It has a nice tomato sauce that's more Greek inspired, so you can taste like hints, but not real strong, overpowering beats of like cinnamon. Uh, most people don't think of putting cinnamon necessarily in a savory dish, but Greeks do that a lot, and it's not always overpowering, so you don't realize it's in there, but you can taste there's little bits of cinnamon and star anise and those kind of flavors mixed in with the garlic and the basil and stuff that you expect in like an Italian pizza. Also, a big thing for Greek pizza is feta cheese instead of mozzarella being the mainstay. I mean, most of the pizzas have a little bit of mozzarella too, but they feature crumbled feta cheese, which gives it that sharp, tangy feta goat cheese flavor that you're looking for in Greek cooking. Now, again, they have a buffet option on Sundays if their buffet's going, and I'm not sure if it is or not. It's the only available on Sundays, and from 11 to 2, and it's like $9. Mainly it features pizza, though there's a little bit of spaghetti and sauce, and there's a small salad bar, but the rest is pizza. But they will let you request like a pizza to put up on the bar, usually a 1 to 2 topping pizza that they'll put up for you. Anything more than that, they usually say it's time to order a pizza yourself, but they will sometimes have 3 or 4 topping pizzas up on the bar. They're not big on letting you get the real big special request for the buffet bar. But if you do want to order an individual pizza, my personal recommendation is the Zeus. They are a lot of them are named after the Greek pantheon of deities, the gods, in Greek mythology. And the Zeus features Greek sausage, which is a much tangier, more flavorful sausage than Italian sausage. Of course, the feta cheese. And it's got artichoke hearts and Roma tomatoes and red onion, and it's absolutely delicious. I could eat a whole pie by myself, and I've been lowering my amount I've eaten lately uh, for my health. But it's absolutely gorgeous. Now, I will warn you, if you go in and sit down and you want to order, unlike a lot of pizzerias, when you do order, they do have fountain drinks, but if you order root beer comes in a can or a bottle, so you don't get free refills on root beer. So, and I know root beer and pizza kind of go hand in hand. So, if it's just like beer, if you're going to order beer, they're not going to give you free refills on beer anyplace either. Well, root beer is the same thing. So if you want to order, you want to double check to see what they've got on can or bottle and what they've got in tap, just as a precautionary tale. It's, like I said, not too expensive at all for pizzas. The pizzas run about the same price as you would for most pies. They do have build your owns. They have several options, and as you can see, their food looks amazing. Um, there's a great rotation of the different pizzas that they offer. There's a little bit of salad and some of their side dishes. Definitely worth the price point. And if you're just going back out there after COVID, this is one of the places I would say to go to. Again, good. There's a good chance the buffet is not going, because I know serve yourself buffets are currently not in the exception for the current plan for reopening Springfield. But I do know some of the buffet places have gone to, like, they serve where they'll dish it out onto your plate for you, but they have to man the buffet. And the way they've got the buffet set up at ours, I don't think that would be convenient for them. Now, uh, next, we're going to go a little south of the border. Cesar's Mexican Cafe. Now, I love Mexican food. I'm from Southern California originally, and so I live and breathe Mexican spices and Mexican food. I like cheese and tortilla, and I love carnitas. Is probably one of my favorite things in the world, which is a crispy edged fried pork. I love lengua, which is beef tongue. I know it's a little distasteful to some people, but it's actually one of the most tender cuts of meat if you know how to cook it. And Mexican places are good for that. But I love their choices of spices. They're very much, I'm into fajitas, and papitos, and tamales. And Caesar's Old Mexico is a great place to go. Now, this used to be in a little tiny place, uh, kind of across, diagonally across from where the unemployment center is on Sunshine. That's where they used to be. There was a little place right next to a little European market. Excuse me, European market, and you would go in there in this little place. If they had a dozen tables, you'd be surprised, but they were always packed, and there was waiting, and you would wait 45 minutes to get a table. However, when you got down and you started eating your food, you thought it was well worth it, and you'd wait that 45 minutes again in a heartbeat. Now they've moved to where McSalty's used to be, right across from Domino's, and the other way across from the fish place, Captain D's, right there on Sunshine still. So just a few blocks west. But they're in a bigger building now. But the couple times we've gone in pre-COVID, they were still packed to the rafters. And one sad thing about their place, for being probably the best Mexican restaurant in town, bar none, is the fact that they don't have any benches or seating in the waiting area while you're waiting for a seat. Um, Hopefully they're changing that, but they don't, as of yet, have that. Now, Last time I heard, they were not doing like curbside or anything, but there is a message here on their Facebook that says they're open from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. This was Tuesday, and that said they were open from 2 to 8 p.m. So they are actually serving people now. Um, if you like really good, classic, real Mexican food, not Americanized Mexican food, but real classic Mexican food, then you definitely want to go to Caesar's Old Mexico. They use old world Mexican seasonings, flavors, and it really is a warm, inviting atmosphere. Even though, like I said, they've been packed to the rafters when I've gone, so I don't know how they're going to be doing now with the COVID distancing, but. People really enjoy the food so much that they're willing to wait. I think people would wait longer for them than they would for going to Lambert's for the tossed rolls and the notoriety. And I got to admit, Lambert's is a great place. If I was doing places outside of Springfield, Lambert's probably would have made this list. Um, but Caesar's Old Mexico is definitely someplace you want to check out. Um, I usually get a smothered burrito. My girlfriend is a diehard fan of quesadillas and chili rellenos. So those are definitely some recommendations for you if you do like that kind of thing. Uh, Now, moving on from there, we have Dutch food. Like we're going all over the map with the food cultures that we're checking out here. Uh, and Van Gogh's Eatery, and that's not a misspelling, that's how you actually spell it for the Dutch, is a Dutch restaurant. It's right next to that Lebanese place over on Commercial Street, across from where the farmer's market is in the springtime. Right across the street from where the farmer market is, you'll see Van Gogh's. They got that Lebanese place right on the corner, and right next to it is Van Gogh's Eatery. And you go in there, and it's Dutch food. And the first time I went in there, all we went to get was a dessert, and they have these wonderful dessert pancakes. They're platter sized. I mean, really big. This big uh, pancakes. They get a scoop of ice cream in the middle, and then they have various different varieties. My girlfriend got one that had cinnamon apple compote and a little bit caramel drizzled over the top. She absolutely loved it. I got mine blueberries and white chocolate. My personal favorite combination of flavors of mine. Anything white chocolate, you could put it on, and I'm probably going to eat it. So that was great. But then we've gone back for dinner several times, and oh my God, their dinners are, if anything, better than their desserts. If you're a casual diner, like a food and winey type person, likes to go to wine tastings and stuff, you're familiar with the cheese plate or cheese board, which is kind of a little tasting platter that includes a couple cheeses and fruits and stuff. Well, they do a nice continental cheese board for like $12. Um, you come in and it's got 1 to 3 different types of cheese, depending on what cheeses are the daily cheeses. There'll be several cube squares of cut bread that's like a grainy, crusty kind of bread um, that's got a really nice crumb to it. And then you'll get a little dipping sauce of honey that you can dip the bread into, and some creamy butter. There'll be some fresh fruit, apples and strawberries and grapes. Um, there'll be a hard-boiled egg. One hard-boiled egg will be put on there that you can either split or one person can get. Um, so it'll be a nice little cheese board, and then some of their entrees are the stuff you write home about. I mean, there's this one uh, that's basically a pot roast cooked in brandy, served over a combination of mashed carrots and potatoes. So mashed potatoes and carrots mixed together. So it's got a light orange texture, color to it, but the mashed potato feel, but it's got the combined flavor of the two root vegetables together. And it comes with a green salad. And it is, oh my God, that slow cooked, fall apart roast. It melts in your mouth, and the gravy that comes off of it from the brandy they cooked it in, they slow roasted for hours. You can tell that it was actually cooked for hours, and then just finished in the oven before brought out to you. and it makes you feel like a warm feeling when you're in a cold winter's evening at home, and mom, when you were younger, just made a pot roast. But this is probably one of the most amazing pot roasts that you've ever tasted. It's delicious. Not to mention, Van Gogh's has some excellent drinks. I'm not talking even the alcoholic drinks, but I won't be reviewing alcoholic drinks mostly because I don't. I only drink, but maybe twice a year. Uh, but Van Gogh's has a turmeric latte thing that's a hot turmeric drink. It's got the earthy, grainy notes of turmeric, um, with some sweetness to it. It's like a hot chocolate drink, but made with turmeric and other spices instead of chocolate. And then they have a beetroot latte that I absolutely has to be my girlfriend's favorite drink that she's had in a long time. And I gotta admit, it's wonderful too. And it's about $3, but it's a mug of this rich, deep red, sweet sugar beetroot tea kind of concoction that you can add a little bit of sweetener to and stuff. But it's rich, it's wholesome, it warms the body all the way up. If it's cold outside, this is what you want to curl up to, and you want to wrap your whole body around it. It's so warm and inviting. So that's something else that you want to consider when you come into Van Gogh's. Now, Van Gogh's and one other restaurant on this are owned by the same people that own Chabam's Tea and Spices, which right up the street from them. And across the street is Chabam's Tea and Spice Shop, probably the best spice shop that you're ever going to visit. And that's where I get all my teas and most of my spices from. We have like something like 21, 22 teas, loose leaf teas here at the house. I love chai tea, especially. Anything, a lot of herbal teas, especially hibiscus flower. And we get a lot of our teas there at Chabam's. So the same owners who own Chabam's own Van Gogh's. They also own an even older restaurant in town because Van Gogh's hasn't been open very long. But further up, further west on Commercial, you're going to come to Cafe Cusco, which is the next one on my list. Now, Van Gogh's, I told you kind of where it is, but let me see. Do I have their address listed? It is on Commercial Street. Yes, it's 334 East Commercial Street. And like I said, a little bit further down the street is you have Cafe Cusco's, and they're Peruvian food. Again, we're jumping all over the world with our types of cuisine. This is at 234 East Commercial Street. It's still just a little bit east of Chabam's, if you've been to Chabam's. Now, this is Peruvian food, so this is the food of the people of the mountains of Machu Picchu in South America. It's further south than Mexico, so you're going to be getting um, some flavors that you might recognize from Mexican food, but not exactly in the same flavor profiles. They eat a lot of rabbit at in Peru, so there's rabbit on the menu. Um, there's a warm atmosphere. It's very close, cozy. Again, with COVID-19, I'm not sure what the seating has been rearranged to be, but I know that they did have both an up and downstairs. They used to do a Monday meatless buffet for the vegetarians and vegans out there, which was held upstairs. Although not a vegetarian or vegan myself, I did go up there and try it, and it was amazing. If it wasn't upstairs, I probably would have gone more than once, because the way my feet are, I can't really walk up such a flight of stairs, and there's no other way to get up there for that buffet. But they did do that. I think they were moving that around. They were experimenting with trying to move it to different days. But as you can see by the pictures that are scrolling through, it's a beautiful restaurant. The food is amazing. It's got rich, deep flavors of green tomatillo, rabbit, smoked cheeses, and it's just it's something as close as you can find to a place to get an Indian style or an Asian style curry in a South American style atmosphere. Because Peruvian food and Asian food do share, of course, South American food and Asian food shares a love for rice and dishes encircling the rice atmosphere. But this is something with the Peruvian flavors, but a curry type bent to it. So there are some foods on the menu that are very much similar to curry. So if you like Thai or Indian curry and have never tried Peruvian food, I definitely say it's something you want to give a try to. They've got little fresh tacos on the soft corn tortilla type tacos. The what they used to call street tacos or Baja tacos. Um, they do some mixed drinks and stuff. Like I said, I won't be rating those, but you got some various pictures of their food here, and it is a place where you can make a reservation to come on in. Their food is worth the try. A lot of Americans I know were not as into trying new cuisines as some were a little bit hide bear. I understand that. I personally love new cuisine. That's Purple Burrito, by the way. Another great Mexican food place, especially if you like California style Mexican food. And it's Carnitas Burrito. They're not on my list today. Cafe Caesar's Old Mexico Cafe kind of beat them out on Mexican food, but they're definitely in my top 20. They just didn't make the top 10. Now, we're going to stick to Commercial Street. We've already talked about a couple of them, commercial being Van Gogh and Cafe Cusco. We're going to go to that Lebanese place. Now, if you're like me, the first time you encountered that Lebanese place is when it was a food truck over the food truck area. Before that, it really built up. I mean, London Calling hadn't even moved in yet. They had a little food truck there, and I used to go and be able to get like falafels and the Lebanese version of like a sloppy Joe kind of thing on flatbread. For those who don't know what falafel is, a falafel is a ground up chickpea that is then it's made into a paste and seasoned with a lot of green herbs and maybe some tzatziki or tahini, and then fried, deep fried into little balls or discs, and then served with flatbread and with um, Mediterranean salads, because of course Lebanese cooking is very Mediterranean, just like Aris was. So we've gone Eastern, we've gone Mediterranean, we've gone South American so far, and we're back to the Mediterranean with that Lebanese place. One of the other things is you can add a lamb skewer or chicken skewer onto your meal for like $3, and it's basically um, slow roasted lamb or slow roasted chicken souvlaki type, which you're used to getting like Greek restaurants, but this is the Lebanese version, and they have Lebanese baklava, which is of course a layered flaky pastry with honey and nuts. Very Mediterranean pastry. You can find it in several different Mediterranean cultures, but the Lebanese have a very distinct one that's very good. Um, you can find a version of dolmas, which is the stuffed grape leaves that you'll find it also in some Greek restaurants, because of course being the most well-known Mediterranean cultural cuisine in the United States is probably Greek. Um, we don't think of Italian as a Mediterranean cultural cuisine, but it's something of its own. But Greek and Lebanese is both very Mediterranean, and they do a lot of like stuffed grape leaves, seasoned nuts, things like that. They do have a baba ganoush, which is a um, dip made out of roasted eggplant. Now, I will warn people who are not used to having authentic Mediterranean food like baba ganoush. They do use um, a herb called sumac, kind of like the poison sumac that we might have encountered with our children. But this is actually a flavorsome herb. It's in the same family as that sumac. But how they treat that herb is they burn it to an ash and they sprinkle the sumac ash on the uh, the paste that's made out of the eggplant. So it can have, to some people, they might liken the flavor if they're not prepared for it to like an ashtray kind of thing. This is not, I'm not saying that the food tastes like an ashtray. I'm saying that if you're not prepared for it, that ashiness might throw you off initially. But it is traditional Lebanese cuisine, Mediterranean cuisine to ash certain herbs before sprinkling them over your food. And so that initial ashiness might hit you before you're expecting it. So I'm just warning you in advance. The food is that once you get past that, you find out the food is wonderful, and that actually gives it a smoky, rich flavor. But if you focus in on that, you might not be as into it. So it might not be the first dish you want to try. You probably want to wait and try something a little bit less mild on the exotic spices before you go getting something with as the sumac ash sprinkled over the top. But it is traditional. Um, it does so like it, I'm saying this because my girlfriend went with me and we got it and it was excellent baba ganoush. I'd had baba ganoush before, but I'd not had theirs, and I loved it. But it threw my girlfriend off because of that. And I've never been a smoker, but she was an ex-smoker, and she loves eggplant, as she said from the background there. She just had not had a chance to ever try sumac ash before, and it just totally hit her off of left field, and I don't think she quite got over it during that particular meal. But I think if we were to go back now, she might try it again and maybe be able to handle it. And so this one, I'm just cautioning you because in a lot of different food circles, um, they use different preparations of foods and spices that initially might throw you off. Like if, for instance, if you never ate oysters in a half shell before, they've got a little bit of a slimy kind of texture that might put people off, but that's actually how you're supposed to eat them. And once you get used to it, some people can never eat them, and other people can eat dozens and dozens of oysters at an oyster bar. So it's partly it's a cultural thing, partly it's a personal preference thing. So this way you're not going in with blinders on. I'm telling you that's going to be a possibility. They also have an excellent chai tea. It doesn't happen to be one of them from Chabams. They get a different chai blend, but they do have an excellent chai tea to try out there if you like chai tea. So that Lebanese place, and they are right next door to Cafe Van Gogh. Let's see, do I have their address here? Yes, it's 338 East Commercial Street. So that was right next to Van Gogh's. Um, Now let's see. Where are we going next? I think, Karai's. Now let's go back to Asian cuisine for a while. Now, many of us have had top ramen and the various generic versions of top ramen. We know what a ramen soup bowl is. We think we know what a ramen soup bowl is. It's just ramen noodles and broth, maybe a little bit of sprinkled vegetable if you got the cup of soup. Uh, no, we don't know what a ramen soup bowl is at all. Uh, the Asians do ramen, and it's almost a subculture of itself. They cook the broth for their ramen for 48 to 72 hours. It's a deep bone broth with rich pork flavors cooked out of the bone and the marrow. Um, they're located on Commercial, just a couple of blocks west of Eris. I think I have their address on here at 640 West Republic Road, Suite 100. But they cook this deep bone broth, and it's got all kinds of these mixes of flavors, and they've cooked it for hours and hours and hours to really impart all the flavor from the marrow of the bone, which is, if you know anything about broths and stocks, that's where all the real flavor is in the meat, is in the bone marrow. And so they take marrow bones and they just cook them down and cook them down and cook them down slow, and they add big pieces of root vegetables and aromatics to enhance the flavor of that marrow broth. So it's got onion and it's got celery and it's got onion in it and it's got garlic, and it's all been mixed in and together, and then they make this rich broth and they pour it over their handmade ramen noodles. It's not this cup of soup noodles that you get here, dried, freeze dried noodles. Nothing wrong with that, except for that's, store bought, low quality noodles. These are noodles that have been hand pulled and made the traditional way. And then they have all the wonderful vegetables, like the mushrooms are not the regular mushrooms that you get from American ones. They're not button mushrooms. They're oh, what variety of mushrooms were those again? If I looked at the menu, there might be a menu on here. Let's see. But they're see, there's some of the mushrooms. Like, just for some reason, the life of me, the name of the mushroom has escaped me. It's something of ear mushroom, because it kind of looks like an ear. But they also do hand rolls, which, for those who don't know, a hand roll is sushi, basically what we think of as sushi. Now, a lot of people mislabel sushi. They think sushi is raw fish. In America, it became popular to think of sushi as raw fish, but actually that's sashimi. Sashimi is raw fish, and even sashimi is not necessarily raw. It's often chemically cooked, which means it's been treated with citrus fruits and other natural acids to cook it, but it's not using heat, but it's still been cured or pickled, which is another type of cooking to make it safe to eat. Of course, sushi grade or sashimi grade seafood is safe to eat raw as it is, but then they chemically cook it often too to add flavor. It's not done to make it more safe to eat. It's already safe to eat, to add flavor. But sushi is what we often think of as sashimi in the United States. Sushi, the actual word, only means rice, and it's the way they make the rice. They take a special type of sushi rice, and they cook it with rice wine called sake, and then they fan it to dry it out, and they put it on these racks and they dry out the rice before they put it on the seaweed or wonton wrapper shell and roll it and make that. And so they do hand rolls here at Karai's. It's a similar kind of food experience, and they use a lot of the different varieties of your favorite toppings that you've seen on a hand roll, like avocado and cucumber and carrot and blue swimmer crab and things like that. You don't actually find blue swimmer crab a lot, but, like, for instance, and speaking of blue swimmer crab, I can't think of a single restaurant in Springfield other than Karai's that has blue swimmer crab on the menu. And what you do is they have a blue swimmer crab sandwich on their lunch menu, and it's a whole blue swimmer crab about that big, deep fried, cut in half, then put on a bun with the salad and the dressing and everything, and it's a sandwich. Now, it's a soft shell blue swimmer crab, which means you can eat the shell. So it's cooked, the whole crab shell and all, and you eat the whole thing. And it's absolutely one of my favorite ways to eat seafood. I love seafood anyway. I'm a seafoodaholic. And blue swimmer crab is one of those best seafood dishes you could have. If you really wanted to go and get seafood, this is one of the places to go and get it. I think I purposely left out A lot of the Japanese steak and sushi parlors like Nakados and stuff for this, because I think that's a kind of a different category thing. It's more would go into my if I did a video on steakhouses, because steak and sushi houses and steakhouses are kind of their own kind of thing. But if I was to do a video about steakhouses and stuff, I might include some other sushi places in those, and they do some wonderful seafood in those kind of establishments as well. But there's none of them on this current list. But Karai's gives you those, so they give you the ramen with the deep broth, or you can get what's like a naked ramen, which they don't have the broth on. It's just the noodles and the vegetables and everything. You can get a vegetarian one. You can get it with pork. You can get it with chicken, um, and you can get the hand rolls. You can, of course, like I said, get the blue shrimp crab. They also have some fried rice dishes and a few other things. So definitely go into Karai's if you get a chance, and check that out. You also feel a little bit lighter after coming out of a lunch at Karai's, even though you might eat because it's a big stone bowl, as you can see on the tables of these videos here on their Facebook page. They're big stone bowls of ramen. They're not little breakfast cereal bowls. These are big bowls that they serve the ramen in. So you're getting a good amount of food, and you can get like nori, which is seaweed to put on it, and you can there's different add-ons, and they got a little price list on their menu of add-ons you can put on. They'll make you cocktails there and everything. So you go in and you're going to have a fine time. And we have actually been back to them since the coronavirus, and we've actually ate in their lobby. We were planning to actually get it to go order. But we went in and the place was absolutely empty. And this was not a bad mark for them. We went kind of early, and it was just a little bit after they started opening things back up. So not a lot of people were out at the time. And they sat us down, and it was nice because other people showed up as we were there, and they kept seating people as far away from everybody else as possible. So they kept that nice social distancing. They were really respectful, but still wanted to make you feel warm and welcome, and they were still constantly checking on you without being intrusive. So that's another great thing. So we have sat in their restaurant since the coronavirus scare. And so I can tell you right now that they are open. Their food is just as good. Their service is, if anything, even better. I mean, they don't quite remember us because we've been so long since we've been there, but previously we went one time, and then every time after that, it says, "Oh yeah, so welcome back." They remember you. Zakis is like that too. There's one guy that still asks us when we go there, "Where's your 14-year-old?" Because he was there one time with us, and he remembered him, so he asks. And it's nice when you get that down home feeling from a restaurant as well, that they do remember you. Um, so Karai's is some place that you really want to experience. Again, Commercial Street and Republic Road seem to have some of the better restaurants in town. I just don't know how that's working, but it seems to be. Although, like I said, the best Indian restaurant is still over on Jefferson. I've tried other Indian places. Gem of India used to be really good, but then they closed down. Looks like another one's opening up in their place. And Taj Mahal is not my cup of tea. I'm sorry if that's what you like. I've been there and I was not impressed. This is my own private video, so I can say good or bad about anybody I want. I'm not going to, slam them, but at the same time, I wouldn't go back. And that's probably one of my worst recommendations for a restaurant. If I wouldn't go back, most places I'll give them a second or third try, but they were just so subpar that I had better choices. I'm that way about most Thai restaurants. There's only 2 Thai restaurants in this town that I'll go to, and Everyday Thai is one of them. The other one is not actually on this list, but it's called Ramatais, and it's on Walnut, downtown. It's a converted house. I'm not sure if they're doing anything right now or not because of the coronavirus, but they're excellent too. And you can get crispy skin duck there, which is another one of my favorite dishes that you just don't find around everywhere. Now, let's go, but we've gone all around the world with different kinds of cuisine, but we got to come back to American cuisine for a minute. What list of restaurants in an area, general restaurants would not be complete without at least one barbecue joint. And this one is Smokin' Bob's. Smokin' Bob's is one of the most amazing barbecue places in the world. It's one of those places, first off, there's a sign in the front door that says they close at a certain time or when they run out. And guess what? They usually close when they run out, not when they get to their closing time, because they're very popular and they smoke a lot of meat every day to feed you. Now, this I know they've got a couple of locations. The one I'm used to going to is in the shopping center next to Metagames Unlimited at Ingram Mills and Sunshine area. Yep, Smoking Bob's. Yeah, they're over there, and then they also have the place down on Republic. And there's a new location on Republic. I'm looking to see if their website has their no, but the only location it has on their website is their Sunshine, which is 3309 East Sunshine Street, Springfield, Missouri. And I think they're Suite A. It doesn't say the suite number here, but I think they're Suite A because Metagames is like Suite E, and they're at the other end of the thing. I spend a lot of times at Metagames, as most nerds do, and since this is a nerdy look at food, what's more convenient when you start going back to Metagames to play Dungeons and Dragons or Magic the Gathering or Warhammer at Metagames than to run over to the end of the shopping court there and get some Smokin' Bob's barbecue to eat before going back to play your game. Now, if you do go to Smokin' Bob's, I'm going to tell you right now, if you never get a chance to try anything else there, you got to try the pulled pork nachos. As my girlfriend says, God yes. Pulled pork nachos from Smokin' Bob's is probably heaven on a plate. Girlfriend can't eat anymore because she can't handle corn, tortilla chips. But if they ever had a chance to make it with an alternate, like with flour tortilla chips or something, she'd be right there, Johnny on the spot, ready to get an order. If she could substitute out like flour tortilla chips or pita chips or something, she'd be right there because she loves their pulled pork nachos. It is what? Yes, my girlfriend's ex-husband, the father of her son, says it was disgustingly good, and you gotta admit that that's not a bad review for food. Um, the pulled pork nachos is by far the favorite in my opinion, in my girlfriend's opinion. I think most I know a few people just like to get their smoked meat plates. I like their smoked mac and cheese. Girlfriend's not as big on the smoked mac and cheese, but she does like their coleslaw. Um, and what it brings into mind, the pulled pork nachos brings to mind what's called in the northeastern region of the United States a garbage plate, which is just a pile of food on food on food because it's all going to the same place. So they just pile it together and eat it as one big stack of food. And it usually has a carb component in a garbage plate. It's usually some kind of potato. It has like a coleslaw or a potato salad or macaroni salad on it. It has a meat component or a gravy component, and you just stack it all together on one plate. We've made garbage plates at home that have used tater tots and chili and all these different things with coleslaw on the top or macaroni salad on the top and stuff. Well, this pulled pork nachos is similar to that because they put the chips and cheese down, and then they cover it with this shredded pulled pork, uh, then their barbecue sauce. Then they throw on like their uh, macaroni salad or their coleslaw and more cheese. And if you want, they'll put jalapeno peppers and onions and stuff on it and serve it out to you. And it's a wonderful dish. But as you can see on this one sign here in their Smokin' Bob's thing, this is often the look of their menu when it's on the by the pound. You see sold out, sold out, sold out, sold out, because they sell out fast. When they're open and they're running, people want to eat, and it's not. And you go in and the actual place is not busy. There's not a lot of people sitting around at the tables, but their food sells out really fast, and they do smoke a lot of meat. So it's not that they're not cooking enough; it's just that there's just so much going out. It's insane, and so for the only real, I'm thinking it's probably the only American food that I've got on the list today. Smokin' Bob's is well worth its spot. Let's see, we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. Yes, that's the ninth place. I never did come up with a 10th tab here. Then finally, we're going back to the eastern part of the world. A little less known cultural cuisine in a lot of parts of the United States, but I happen to once live with a roommate that lived in South Korea for several years as a teacher, and this is Golden Korean. Actually, Springfield is blessed with a few good Korean restaurants. Uh, there's there's a Little Korea, there's Golden Korean, there's Sue's. There's some great Korean restaurants, but probably Golden Korean would be in my favorite. I it made this list. Little Korea is pretty close, if not right on par with it. They're in different parts of town. Now, Golden Korean, this is their Facebook page. They're over on Sunshine, so they're really convenient to my house. Is one great thing. Um, their location is at 1406 West Sunshine Street, Suite A. Like I said, they're about a mile and a half from my house, so they're really close. Korean food, first of all. I don't think they're a mile and a half from the house. I think they're a mile and a half from the center of town. No, it's a mile and a half from. It's 1.63 miles from this location using my current location settings. Uh, but anyway, girlfriend was saying that she thinks they're a mile and a half from maybe the center of town, but no, they're a good 5 miles from the center of town. Uh, they're about a mile and a half from where we live. We live off of Golden and Sunshine right now, so they're about a mile and a half from us. It's right down Sunshine. It's just hard to believe how quickly you get to a mile and a half. It just doesn't seem like it. Anyway, one of the things, as I was talking about in Korean food, if you go to a real authentic Korean restaurant, they do these things called shareables or Korean pickles, or that's the metagames. We're talking this is Golden Korea. She's thinking we were talking about metagames. She's in the middle of actually working from home, and so she's listening in and commenting, but not commenting on the same thing that I'm commenting on, so it's throwing us off. That's what you get for a live show, though. No, in Korean food, they have these pass arounds or shareable starters. They're kind of like called a variety of pickles, but they are like kimchi, which is a kind of Korean coleslaw. It's pickled Asian cabbage. It's usually fermented cabbage that's been buried and fermented underground for several days to a couple of weeks before they bring it back up, sometimes even longer, in sealed clay pots. Is the traditional way of making it. Most restaurants, I don't think, buried in the ground. But they have that. They'll have seasoned boiled potatoes. They'll have pickled broccoli. They have these fish cakes that are like compacted tofu with fish sauce seasoning that I absolutely love. Um, they have these cellophane noodles that my girlfriend loves. That are seasoned cellophane noodles, which are the clear. They're not made out of cellophane, but they're called cellophane because they're clear like cellophane. They're usually made of rice starch or potato starch that you make these cellophane noodles from. Asian ones are usually made from rice starch and stuff. So they put these pass rounds around your table for most of their dishes before you get your main dish. And then you get your main dish. And there's several great main dishes to choose from. My favorite is a dish called bibimbap. Now, I'm not a big egg eater, as a lot of people probably know that know me and eat with me. I've been known to call eggs an ingredient, not a food. You don't eat plain ingredients. Like you don't eat plain flour. You don't eat plain egg. But bibimbap is by far my preferred method of eggs. If somebody was to ask me now, how do you want your eggs? I would say bibimbap, and they would probably look at me funny. But what it is, it's a stone heated bowl. Because when they're done, the bowl could be actually put in the oven, and the bowl is made hot, and it's filled with rice and vegetables and meat, and then there's a whole egg cracked on top and let to cook on the steam of the food. So it's still a little bit runny in the middle, the egg, and then it's a full sunny side up egg on the top of it that you end up mixing in with the food. Because I'm not a big sunny side egg person, but I'll mix it in, and but in the stone bowl, that rice gets a crust, um, like if you were to eat Spanish paella in a paella pan. One of the things about a paella pan is it builds this crust at the bottom of the rice when you're cooking all the different things in it. When you finish it off, there's this almost charred, crispy rice crust at the bottom in paella, and that's in Spanish cooking. Well, in Korean cooking, it's in bibimbap. Bibimbap is done in these stone bowls, and the bottom of the bowl, it's brought sizzling to your plate, and the bottom of the bowl is still cooking the rice at the bottom, so it's getting crispier and crispier. Uh, and then you mix it all up, and you add what's called gochujang, which is a Korean red pepper paste to it to give it a spike of flavor. And they give it to you in like a ketchup squirt bottle. One of the red squirt bottles is not full of ketchup. It looks like ketchup, don't taste like ketchup. This is gochujang, and it's a sweet, hot, flavorsome, umami tasting pepper paste that you can get in your Asian markets. It's just called gochujang, and it's used in a lot of Asian cooking, um, and you can use it as a condiment. And you put it on your bibimbap, and you mix it in when you mix the vegetables and the eggs all together, and then you eat it, and it's such a wonderful, full-bodied taste in your mouth. It, it it consumes your senses with the heat and the flavor and stuff, but it's not overpowering. You could probably eat straight gochujang and not get burned out because it's not such a rough, harsh pepper. I mean, you can put too much into something and cook it and intensify it, but you could put the raw gochujang uh, sauce on a spoon and just eat a spoonful and probably not get burned out because it's it's hot, but not a super smack you in the face hot. Horseradish is probably hotter um, when it's done like that. But if you cook gochujang, it'll, like with any other hot peppers, it will tend to get hotter and intensify, and some of the other ingredients will intensify the heat. So you get that. Um, Other thing you get, we talked just now about barbecue with smoking bobs. Well, Korean barbecue, their most famous barbecue dish is called bulgogi, and that's my girlfriend's favorite. She gets chicken bulgogi all the time, which is just Korean barbecued bits of whole bits of boneless chicken that have been slowly cooked in Korean spices and barbecued, and you get just a big warm platter of those, and you get a side of rice with it, and of course you have the pass arounds to spread with it, and you can put gochujang on it instead of putting barbecue sauce in it, and she loves that gochujang too. So you can get bulgogi, you can get beef bulgogi, or you can get pork bulgogi, or you can get tofu bulgogi if you want to, or you can get chicken bulgogi, vegetable bulgogi, and that's their barbecue. Or like you can get a whole head-on fish, which you don't see in a lot of restaurants in America. We're not always big on that head-on fish. We're a little bit squeamish about these kind of things, but you can get a whole head-on fish. And there is a sampler platter. I wasn't super thrilled with the sampler platter. Don't think I had enough of what I really wanted, and the fish was just on the okay side. But I mentioned earlier that tandoori chicken was my favorite bone-in chicken recipe probably on the planet. The only other one that might compete with that is a Korean potted chicken dish that you can sometimes get at Golden Korean called duck doritang. A duck doesn't mean it's got duck in it. It's just D-U-K, not D-U-C-K. Duck doritang, and don't ask me to uh, spell it all because I couldn't. But it's cooked in a pot, in a clay pot with all these seasonings and spices, and the chicken is whole on the bone. Usually thigh meat is what I always got, and my roommate would make it for me. And this duck doritong is slow roasted, and you can get this at Golden Korean. It's about one of the only Korean restaurants that actually has duck doritong still on the menu. I know Sue's took it off the menu right before I discovered the place, and Little Tokyo I mean, Little Korean. Sorry, not Little Tokyo. Little Korean didn't have it on their menu when I checked, but Little Korean has a different type of well, we'll call it barbecue, but it's not barbecue. It's they do a hot pot where they actually bring you a hot pot of broth and raw ingredients, and then you and there's a burner underneath the table, and you cook the ingredients in the broth uh, before eating them, and so you're basically poaching the ingredients to your taste at the table. And so that's another great thing about Korean food. So they're like an honorable mention because they're like it was really tightly close between Golden Korean and Little Korea for which one I would put for my Korean restaurant favorite. Now I'm always going out. Well, not always. Right now during the coronavirus kind of thing, we're not going out hardly at all. But when we're in normal times, we're always going out trying to find new restaurants to try out and see if they're any good. And I mean, there's some that we'll never go back to again, and there's some that are going to get a second try or maybe a third try out of us. But then there's certain ones that are standbys that we will go with almost no hesitation at all. If we're into that, if we're in the mood for that kind of food, this is where we're going because these are the places that have the food we really want. And these 10 that I've mentioned today, Zeka's for Indian food, Everyday Thai, and of course, like I said, the honorable mention on that one is also Rama Thai. They also have excellent Thai cuisine. They're in my honorable mention category, so just slightly off from that. Eris Greek Pizzeria, Caesar's Old Mexico, and I think my honorable mention for Mexican food was be Purple Burrito for California style Mexican food. If you're from California, you want that slightly California bent to your Mexican food, but you don't want Tex-Mex, which is what a lot of Americans think of as Mexican food from New Mexico and Texas. Then Purple Burrito is a great place to go to, but Caesar's is our pick. Um, After that, let's see. I think we had Van Gogh's, which the only Dutch restaurant in town, so it's really the only place in town to get Dutch food. So you don't have to worry about direct competition there. Um, they do great pancakes. I'd much rather go there for pancakes than IHOP, I'll tell you that. And their pot roast is better than just about any one of these sit-down places like Village Inn or Carriage House. If you want a good pot roast, you're going to want to go to Van Gogh's. Um, and their salads are something my girlfriend absolutely would recommend as well. And their cheese board, probably the only other cheese board in town that we like almost as much is a place called Cellar and Plate over by Fuddruckers on Battlefield and Old Mill Road, I think it is. But I think it's Battlefield and Old Mill Road. I think is the name, or Old Pine Road, Lone Pine, Lone Pine. That's it. Battlefield and Lone Pine, right next to Fuddruckers is a place called Cellar and Plate. That'll be my honorable mention for things like cheese plates. Haven't eaten everything there, but we've had their cheese board, which is really good, and and they do tapas kind of foods, which are small individual dishes. And we got some scallops there that my girlfriend's not the biggest scallop fan in the world. She usually because people just don't cook them right for her. She don't like them very pink in the middle. She don't want them still. Yeah, but I mean, you know what I mean by pink in the middle. I'm talking to her. She don't like them still gelatinous in the middle, really. She wants them to be a little bit cooked firm, and she kind of prefers that buttery flavor if you've poached them with butter. And Cellar and Plate poached them in butter. Boy, you could taste the butter. It was a nice, um, sweet butter flavor around them, and so she really liked that. So that would be my honorable mention. Peruvian food, we don't have an honorable mention for Peruvian food, but that's kind of South American cuisine, so you can kind of lump that in with some of the other Mexican restaurants and uh, Puerto Rican places. We don't really have a Puerto Rican place to recommend, though, here. I haven't found a really good Puerto Rican yet. If you know a good Puerto Rican one, leave it in the comments, and I'd love to go try it out. I do love Puerto Rican food, but I haven't really found a good Puerto Rican one. The closest I come to Caribbean type food is that Jamaican bean pie place. They're okay from what I've tried, but I haven't tried a whole lot. Uh, But I'm always looking for new places to try. So if you know some place I haven't tried yet and you think that they're worthy of my list, um, send a foodie out. I'm always up for a new challenge. Of course, like I said with coronavirus, I don't know how soon I'll get there, but I'll love to hear from my viewers. In fact, I haven't even checked the whole time I've been talking. I've been talking your ear off, but I haven't checked to see if we've had any comments in the chat. Nobody looks like it's commented, and right now it only looks like we do have one viewer, but that's okay. Um, this isn't about that. Within 7 to 10 days, I'll also put this up on my YouTube channel, so it'll be there for people to rewatch. I'm still building my channel, so I don't expect a lot of people all the time. Uh, but anyway, the Peruvian restaurant Cafe Cusco is probably the number one choice for most vegans in town that I know of. Uh, Vegans tend to go to about 3 or 4 places in this town. They like to go to Indian restaurants like Zeka's or Taj Mahal or used to be Gem of India. They like to go to Cafe Cusco, and that Lebanese place has some okay uh, vegan options, from what I understand. I used to live with a vegan. It was the fiance, now wife, of a friend of mine. Um, so yeah, so if you're looking for really good vegan options, go to Cafe Cusco. But also the Peruvian flavors, which are lighter, milder than Mexican flavors, but still a lot of the same seasonings, is just in different proportions. So milder, not as hit in your face, hot, spicy, but closer to like Asian curries mixed with Mexican seasonings than in Peruvian. So it's also close to like Spanish food. It's a little bit closer than Mexican would be to Spanish food. So similar to like paella, you would go to a Peruvian place. Um, that Lebanese place, of course, is back to the Mediterranean. Like Aris is for Mediterranean pizza. That Lebanese place is the other place to go to for Mediterranean food. If you love a good falafel in this town, there's really only 2 places to get it, and that's that Lebanese place and Pita Pit. Any place else I've tried them at is just not worth going. I tried to go to like the Greek Belly. I would not step back in that place. Probably if you were paying for my food. Uh, it was just blah. And when I go in for Greek food, I expect flavor, and I expect atmosphere, and I expect more than I got from Greek Belly. So that's not where I would go. Um, Karai's is the only place for ramen in this town, which is okay because they're more than enough for anybody when it comes to ramen. Where there is no other ramen place to compare them to, and there's no pure soup restaurant really, so I can't compare them to that either. So they're like an act of their own. So there's no honorable mention there as well. Smokin' Bob's is the be all and end all of barbecue. I will say that there's a there's a couple of other barbecue places that are good in this town for one reason or another. Buckingham's has wonderful food, and their side dishes are absolutely outstanding, especially their baked beans. If you get their baked beans, my girlfriend could go through a gallon and a half of them probably in a setting. But she loves baked beans, and Buckingham's is probably one of her favorite places. And then we haven't tried them all yet, but there's a place called Sugar Fire that just opened up on Republic a little bit before coronavirus, as far as we know. We're not absolutely sure when they opened, but we did order them for delivery during the corona epidemic, during the lockdown, and some of their food was okay. Their burger was good. Their meat portions were on the small side. Their coleslaw and the other sides were just on the okay side. But then for $2, they let you add a portobello mushroom cap to your food, and that portobello mushroom cap is the reason to go there. It is so rich in flavor, so juicy, so meaty for a mushroom. It's meaty, almost a steak-like mushroom, which is what you expect out of a good portobello, and you don't usually find in a restaurant portobello mushroom. And they do have a portobello mushroom sandwich on the menu, which we haven't had a chance to go back by yet. We're waiting for the the chance to go into the lobby and just sit down and eat. But if I was going to do an honorable mention for barbecue other than Buckingham's, it would, at least for that one dish alone, Sugar Fire. Unless it's a fluke and we just happen to get them on a really good day, I would say that mushroom cap alone makes it a place worth going to. And of course, if you're a vegan looking to eat something that doesn't have meat in it, portobello mushroom cap, I just would confirm with them first to make sure that they're cooking it in a pan that's not touched meat or something, because I know vegans are pretty particular about that. But it is a possible option. And finally, recapping, the end of our list was Golden Korean, which is just wonderful. Like I said, this town, it's blessed with a lot of good Korean food. Um, the two honorable mentions here are Sue's, which are on South Campbell, uh, way south. Couldn't tell you exactly what block, but they're down there close to like the Alamo Draft House uh, area, just a little bit closer than Alamo Draft House. I can't hear her; she's mumbling something. Uh, and then just beside Primrose Road, I guess. It might be in the Primrose Shopping Center. It's okay. It's not in the Primrose Shopping Center. The Kickapoo Shopping Center. Yes, don't need the peanut gallery that much, dear. Okay, Kickapoo Corner. Anyway, but Sue's is a great place. And then I will tell you that the other one, like I said, was Little Korea. They're across from the Come and Go at the corner of Walnut Lawn and National, because I go to dialysis treatment across the street from there. And it used to be a big fat burrito place, but the burrito place moved out, and Little Korea moved in, and it's worth going. Not the most comfortable chairs though. They've got hardwood chairs, so you're not going to want to sit there for very long. But then that could be intentional too, because restaurants like that do need to turn around tables. Uh, but anyway, that ends my top 10. Let's see, how long have I been broadcasting here? Oh wow, an hour and 17 minutes on the show. Um, like I said, leave comments if you know of a place in Springfield that you think I might not have tried, but it's worth my checking out. If you want to know a little bit more about any of these places, you can definitely go to their Facebook and or websites to try them out. Uh, uh, I have brought up each website here, if it had one. Zayka's is on Facebook, so look up Zayka, Zayka, Indian cuisine. Um, Everyday Thai has their own website, which is myeverydaythai.com. Aris Pizza has their own one. It's ARRIS Pizza Palace.com. Caesar's Old Mexico, you have to go to their Facebook or one of their other sites like Yelp. They don't have their own website as of yet. Van Gogh's have their own though. It's Van Gogh, like the artist, VANGOGH, and it's pronounced Van Gogh or something like that. Van Gogh's Eatery, and it's spelled their way with double E instead of EA, so EETERIE.com. That might throw you off, and you can check them out there. Cafes Cusco, being by the same owners, of course, have their own website, and it's Cafe Cusco. It's Cafe, CAFECUSCO.com. And as I said, as an honorable mention in the Van Gogh and Cafe Cusco site, not a restaurant, but you definitely want to check out their parent company, which is Chabam Tea and Spices, that started it all before they opened the restaurants. He opened up the tea and spice shop, and they get all their teas and spices for the restaurants from the same place. They get the same teas and spices, and you can go there and you can try out teas and spices. We were there just this last Saturday, restocking our spice cabinet because we hadn't been there in a few months. You know, not pretty much since farmers market closed down in October. Had we really been over to see them, so we were way overdue. And so, admittedly, I think we bought probably more in spices than we had in a long time, but it's well worth it. So, an honorable mention there. They're not a restaurant. They're not even a coffee shop, but they will, for a couple of bucks, let you try any of their teas, hot or cold, with different kinds of sweeteners and different kind of creamers. And they'll give you the leftover tea bag so you can come home and make one more cup, because most tea bags are good for 2 cups. So that's a good thing too. Right now, they do ask that you let them scoop out all their spices and teas, and you don't open the jars and smell everything. But that's just for general safety and social distancing purposes. We completely understand that. But that's an honorable mention too. And you could probably get a hold of them through Cafe Cusco or Van Gogh's as well if you contacted them through their website. Uh, I'm sure that Chabams has their own website too, but I'm not bringing it up here because it's not directly involved with this particular show. Um, that Lebanese place is again on Facebook. So that Lebanese place on Facebook is what you just put in to search, and you'll get this. And it has all their connection information. It even has a digital copy of their menu. So that's a place to check out. Karai's is again on Facebook. And you look up Karai Ramen, Karai Ramen, on Facebook, and that'll get. And it's got the little video at the top that you can watch, that you've been watching with me. Little short one about the blonde lady that goes into the store and sees all that they have. And you've got lots of great comments and pictures on their site. It's most of these sites, especially their Facebook pages, are pretty much checked and responded to within no more than a day or two. So it's really worth it. Smoking Bob's has their own website. It's smokingbobsbbq.com is their website. That is for their main Sunshine location, although, like I said, they did just open up a Republic Road one. Um, I don't know if it's in the contact page. I could check that and see. Um, yeah, it doesn't have. Yeah, it still only has their one location listed on there. So this is a website mainly for the Sunshine location. If the Republic one has it, they have their own website, or they just haven't been integrated in yet. And then finally, Golden Korean is on the Facebook page, and you really kind of got to look it up. But it's Golden Dash Korean. If you search that, you should get the page. And there's a lot of information about them on their page. There's copies of the menus, stuff of that nature, contact phone numbers, um, emails. Uh, it lets you category, the address, everything is right there on the site. So check these restaurants out. Let me know what you think of them. If you disagree with me, if you think somebody else has a better version of their cuisine, especially if you can find some of these more oddball cuisines that you don't find in every restaurant in town, like Peruvian or Dutch. Let me know, and I'll go try the other place and tell you how they stack up to these. But if you've only go to 10 new restaurants this year, try these 10. If you haven't hit them, if you've hit some of them on your mark and you agree with me, let me know. If you disagree with me, let me know. I'm going to hopefully do another a show of this type later on. But I do want to thank you for watching my show. This has been Doc, the foodie nerd. This is normally a show, a channel for things like streaming video games, watching Dungeons and Dragons, talking about cosplay and those kind of things, supporting local gaming convention stuff, even karaoke, because that's another nerdy pastime that I'm deeply involved with, and I'll be probably putting on a karaoke type show at some time here in the future. I'm again just launching my channel. I just started in April during coronavirus to pass the time while I'm stuck at home. But I'm going to keep going with this site and see where it goes. I've got a new Patreon page that supports not only this site and my streaming and my YouTube site that's linked to this, but it also supports my writing. It's got the current prologue to my new book idea I'm doing. It's a lit RPG genre book. similar to like Ready Player One, if you want to know what lit RPG is, where people from the real world go into a game world somehow. Um, but it's got the prologue of that. If you get into the second tier of membership, which is $10 a month, you can see the prologue. In the first tier of membership, the $5 a month lowest tier, you still will get some exclusive content. What will happen is when I come out with the next chapter in that book, I will move the prologue down to of being available for those members in the tier one $5 a month category, and I'll do that with new projects too. So as the next chapter in a new project comes up, the previous chapter or element in it will move down to the other tier. So that way you have a little bit of trickle down. Both tiers, you can possibly send me commissions of things you want me to do and see if I can do them for you. You can send me suggestions for shows. I'm still trying to figure out between my schedules, the schedules of when I can use the Wi-Fi here really well, and things of that nature. This time I could do this with my phone Wi-Fi today because I wasn't streaming any heavy video. But if I was going to stream a lot of gameplay or everything, I would have to postpone it. I couldn't do it during the weekday because that's when my Wi-Fi at home is used for my girlfriend to work from home. But you don't need to know all of that. Basically, I'm just saying my Patreon can go. You can support me. Also, I have now dedicated all of my shows as well to Extra Life, which is my charity of choice. Extra Life is part of the Children's Miracle Network. They basically provide funding for kids with terminal illnesses and long-term illnesses that are getting care. And different thing about Extra Life is all the money that is raised goes into your local community. It doesn't go into like some national fund, but it actually gets reserved for local use. I actually even get to check which hospital that I'm supporting, and in my case, my campaign is supporting the Cox Network here in Springfield. So whatever you donate to Extra Life will go into the Extra Life Fund here in Springfield, Missouri, at the Cox Network. And that'll go to helping children with things like cancer and diabetes and other long-term care type of illnesses. Uh, the people that the Children Miracle Network help with. Um, I will be doing some streaming of gaming marathon streams of 8 to 24 hours long. I haven't committed on a 24-hour yet because I'm not sure if I can handle it. I do know that if I do a 24-hour stream, I'm going to need people on the site talking to me to keep me going, because otherwise I don't know if my health can keep me up that late. And I can't drink a ton of caffeine just to do it. So we're going to have to build up my viewership a little bit before we can actually get to the full 24-hour stream. National Extra Life Game Day this year is November 7th. So if nothing else, I'm going to try to at least participate some on November 7th by streaming some kind of game. But anyway, I do stream games. I talk about Dungeons and Dragons as a 42-year dungeon master and player of Dungeons and Dragons and other role-playing games. As you can see, advertised on my stream, the RPG College is my main show. I do that once a week on Tuesdays from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, where I give advice on tabletop role-playing games from D&D to obscure games like, Teenagers from Outer Space and Big Eye Small Mouth. I'll also talk about other programs that help you run games like D&D, like Roll20, and helper programs like D&D Beyond and Campaign Cartographer sometimes. So if you have a subject in the area of Dungeons and Dragons or role-playing games that you'd like to talk about, let me know what kind of topics you want me to do, because right now I'm generally logging in with what we call an open forum. So any questions that I get in the chat, I'll try to answer, and if I don't get anybody, I'll eventually go on to a pat topic that I have ready or don't have ready, but just wing it. But that's okay. Mondays and Wednesdays I stream usually nostalgia gaming from 10 p.m. to midnight Central Standard Time. Right now, the nostalgia gaming is typically Final Fantasy X or Dark Cloud, but it can be other games. Now, I'm also a alpha tester now for a new role-playing MMORPG called Fractured. And so there are going to be times when that is an alpha testing. And when it's an alpha testing, I may supersede my nostalgia game program and just stream more of that. And then I will also be on a lot more during times when my schedule shows I'm open. As you can see on my schedule right now, I'm set up as open right now for most of the week. Um, but a lot of that open time I will end up, if I can stream, I will be streaming things like the Fractured MMO playtest when I have a test available to show, because they are encouraging us to show off our alpha testing so that it's not covered by a non-disclosure agreement. So you can see before you try to buy into the system, and then I will of course share links. And in my chat room, if you type !! extra life, you'll get the bot will tell you how to donate to Extra Life, to my section of the campaign. I get no money off of this campaign at all. If you want to support me, you would have to go to my Patreon, or just bring a bunch of viewers and followers here, because if I can get 50 followers and an average of 3 viewers in a month, I will make my affiliate level membership and start being able to subscribe to my channel, and we'll get out there to more viewers. If there's something you really want to see, like if you like this show enough that you want to see this become a regular show, let me know. I'm going to try to squeeze it in when I can, but of course it's an iffy thing. It might be something good that I can do every Thursday morning or afternoon. Um, it might be something that I just do on occasion when I feel like it, but I'd love to put it on the regular schedule if you like to hear about foodie things. I'm not going to do anything about cooking myself, because unfortunately I live in a tiny trailer, and in no way I'm sharing my kitchen with you right now. And that's for your protection and sanity, not mine. And for my girlfriend's and for my girlfriend's absolute shame if I was to show you, because she would not want you to see any part of her house looking like this. But we live in a shoebox. Actually, shoeboxes I've seen have more room. So until we move into another place, I'm probably not going to go over like any personal recipes and stuff. But count on it, once I'm in a new place and have a kitchen of my own that I can be proud of, I'll probably share some of my culinary arts with you, and might even get the 14-year-old in cooking with us too, show you how to cook with your kids. So thank you for coming on. Thank you for viewing. If you enjoy this channel, definitely follow it, like it, share it with your friends, and try to help me get my viewership up. And we'll see what we can do about continuing that. I can only play the shows that you want to watch if you let me know what you want to watch. So you leave a comment here, or when I put this on YouTube, within the next 7 to 10 days, leave a comment there. And I make sure to read all the comments that I get, even if I don't always get a chance to respond to one. I will always read them, and I will use them to help influence how I play my games. I did play some. I did show up for my stream last night, just to let people know I showed up early. At 9:20, we started probably Final Fantasy X, but I ended probably before the 10 o'clock show would have started, because I didn't have any viewers, and I was literally falling asleep on the controller in the middle of battles. And so it's not good for anybody if I'm trying to broadcast like that. So I do apologize if you came in afterwards and I wasn't there. I'm trying to get my schedule a little bit more steady. But I am a dialysis patient, and Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays I do 4 hours of dialysis in the morning, and then it kind of depends on what kind of naps I can get into the day to see how late I can go at night. I do actually like to go later at night, because it makes it easier to sleep during the day for some things. So it's not terrible, but sometimes it just hits me when there's no feedback coming in from anybody. And so I did it. I was back up at 3 a.m. though, and I did stream some Dark Cloud 1 for about an hour. Later on for people, I did have at least one viewer, although they never identified themselves, so I don't know who it was. Um, Again, I do these long thank yous and long goodbyes. You might hate long goodbyes, well then you're on the wrong channel. I've got this set to auto host. I'm hoping that it works. It should send you just another site from my auto hosting list if any of them are up and running. Definitely check out some of my favorite sites here on Twitch. Dud the Bomb is a local who streams some gaming. Um, you can find Left Wing. They do a nerd podcast about streaming video games. That's my buddy Lurch and his buddy Angel. I'm not sure the exact channel name. I know Left Wing is the name of their production company. I will be getting that, and then when I do, I will be sharing it in the channel. I have another friend, Greg Pullman. I'm not sure what he does it under, but he does board and card game reviews and more obscure role-playing games like Japanese or Italian or whatever role-playing games. You know, foreign country role-playing games and obscure games like that. You can find a lot more obscure stuff on his stuff, and he's a little bit more into board and card games than I am, probably just a little. But me and him both do reviews on Left Wing for Lurch and Angel's channel when it comes to board and card games. So you can also find some from us there. If you're looking for me in person, once the quarantine is over with and we're back to full normal operation, you'll find me most days at, if I'm not broadcasting, and even if I am broadcasting, you never know, but you'll find me over at Metagames Unlimited at 3309 East Sunshine, Suite E, I believe, is the suite number, but it doesn't matter. It just has a big sign that says Metagames Unlimited. It's where most of your D&D and card and board games happen here in Springfield. They have an excellent D&D community, of which I'm one of the D&D store league dungeon masters, as well as a player. And I am there, between 4 and 5 days a week playing these games. So that's where you'd find me live, unless it's like a weekend when we have something like VisionCon or game going on, and then you'll find me there, as I am your local gaming, arts, media, entertainment representative that goes out to the other gaming conventions as well. So on convention weekends, you might find that I'm off at a convention instead of running my normal games. Definitely check out the Gaming Arts Media Entertainment Expo whenever it's here. We are canceled this year for our live event, but we are looking at announcing something in the more digital realm. We'll have more information for that coming soon. Like VisionCon went to a virtual con this year. I spoke in 2 panels on that. So if you're interested in things like VisionCon and stuff, you can talk to me and I can get you all the VisionCon people. And I've rambled on for long enough. It's now at an hour and 37 minutes. That hour and 38 minutes I've been broadcasting. I think I said it was at an hour and 10 or hour and 15 when we really finished the countdown. So thank you. Long goodbyes are long goodbyes. And goodbye.